There are 200,000 farmers in Canada. Let's dig into their problems. Welcome to the Hands That Feed Us on tour. I'm Devin Cook, and I'm driving across Canada to find romance. But not the kind you think. I'm looking for the romance, the big ideas, the ambition, and the sheer bloody-mindedness that can rebuild Canada's economy. Farm 140 is a small, organic farm on the outskirts of Saskatoon, and the group here are mainly farm patrons who live in the city. We're talking about how to defy economic logic, and no one provides a better example than Bryn from Night Oven Bakery. What is it that we can do? Because it's very easy to have a discussion and rant at the clouds and complain about the government.
Can I ramble?
Sure.
So hi, my name's Bryn. I own the Night Oven Bakery in Saskatoon. So I buy my wheat from Will Robbins. When this was filmed, I think we had just started the switch because he had gone back to work on the farm with Nettie Moore. And they were selling 100% of their grain to the organic commodity market. And my project, even though we present as a bakery, is actually to pull the levers that I can to facilitate relationships outside of the commodity market. And so like Will and I sat down and I was like, oh, I'm paying this much for organic flour. He can sell it this much for commodity grain. Then we were like, okay, well, let's just split the difference. It's a savings for me and an increase in sales for him. And then now he's done that with 100% of his grain, and it facilitates operation outside of the model of growth. So like the commodity grain system where you have to like just grow and grow is like totally broken. It doesn't work. So the levers that I have is that I buy grain for my bakery, and we use it in all the variety of products that we make. And a significant number of the customers that come in have no idea because they just want a croissant. But do they know that 20% of the flour in the croissant is einkorn grown by Prairie Genesis Farm? Hope so, a little bit. And then that allows us to buy more einkorn or spelt or whatever. And then the goal is just to increase more purchasing of grain. And is it a model that can be replicated to every farm? No, maybe.
Not with the amount that we're growing.
Yeah, or not the amount that people support local bakeries buying flour, so it's like much bigger than any one small action or thing, and it's very complex, but I think it's just the levers. When customers come in talking about, because my products are expensive, comparatively, like they just are, I've debated like stating publicly, I've never paid taxes because I've never made a profit. I've been open like 12 years. Like those guys talking about, I've never paid. Yeah, that's me.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, but I have like the most expensive bread in town. But so when customers come in and they say, for 2 of your croissants, I could buy a dozen at Costco. And I was like, that sounds great. That sounds like a great deal for you. And then they're like, if their brain kind of gets scrambled, so they're like, well, don't you want my business? I was like, well, it sounds like you want something that we don't make.
Yeah.
Because what we make uses organic grain, organic sugar. I pay my staff a living wage. So that cost has to be transcribed somehow into the sale of the product. And
it's so wild that doing the right thing is a subsidization to society.
So it's exactly that, where like the intrinsic cost of production is devalued in the final sale of product. It's like,
I think until people put 2 and 2 together and realize that the chronic disease epidemic is related to the food, the ultra-processed food, everything that's in it, I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay the extra for healthy food so that in the long run, like I had to make a decision recently. I used to take a lot of supplements. We were talking about that. And it just got too expensive. And I decided to stop that and start putting my money into good, clean food.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I feel so much better off with something.
Awesome.
I would love to offer a testimonial for maybe those customers. When I was here in 2020 and I found out that Will was selling his grain to a bakery, I came by.
Okay, yeah, great.
And I bought 3 loaves, and then I headed east to Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And those 3 loaves, they were unrefrigerated. They lasted in perfectly good condition for the next 3 weeks. Because I can only eat one loaf a
Write
week.
that down on your website, yeah.
Those were my lunches for the next
Great birthday.
next 3 weeks.
We did the pilot for Jen Sharp's flat out food. That stuff is needed more. Like, you know, we're in a rural area right now, but this needs to be shown to the urbanites, in my opinion. They're the ones that don't understand. Most of us have some connection with a farm. You know, whether we grew up on a farm or have a cousin on a farm. Arlie does summer camps with kids that don't understand where any of their food comes from. One of the premises of Farm 140 is to connect people with their food and understand where it comes from. And I just think people don't get that. There's such a disconnect now from 2 generations ago as to where that comes from. It's just crazy.
I think people are wising up though on what's in our food, because I work in a health food store and I talk to a lot of people and
Yeah.
they know.
I hope society gets there sooner than later before
Yeah.
all of the small farms completely disappear and the big ones take over.
Yeah, the knowledge is gone. Eh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there is a big knowledge.
We're one generation away, I think, from losing that knowledge, right? Like if Arlie and I disappear from the farming network, our kids may not have the knowledge of what my grandfather and my father were doing on a mixed small farm.
I want to throw the word romance out there. I think Nettie Weeb says it, I'll try and paraphrase, but she says that if we believe that the economy is the most important thing, then those who have economic power get to set the rules. Romance is a way of believing something else. That doesn't mean that money doesn't matter, but that money is not what causes success. And that is what I am bringing across the country to try and convince people that that is true. Because when they believe that that is true, that is the cultural shift that you need to not buy your beef from Costco because it is cheaper there.
To further that, money is not a requirement for a life well lived.
Yes.
Because the reason why you still operate the night oven and the reason why we still operate the farm is because it gives us super meaningful work every day, giving us something we love to do, we're happy to get up every day and do. And a lot of people don't have that. So I feel very grateful to get to actually do this job. But the thing that makes me confused and angry is that like my passion for my job is like subsidizing everyone's diet. But like, why can't we actually make money doing that hard work? That's the part that I don't quite get. But we do have to recognize we're very fortunate to be able to actually like live a life like this, because it's pretty special.
Going back to your comment about the romanticism about it, as I was watching the film, they had these big farms, I kept thinking, but they're not talking about why they keep doing it. And then, so I was really glad at the end when you brought in Big Susan, where she started talking about it's because this is our life, this is our passion, we want to be stewards of the earth and take care of it and pass it on to the family. I mean, we all know why they do it, but for a city person watching that, they'd be thinking, why? Are you crazy?
So my accountant every year would say, I don't really know what the fuck you're doing. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But like I have like a super awesome life where I get to like make super cool like French pastries and stuff, and I get to go hang out with Will at his farm and go to Nettie's garden and pick tomatoes, and for me it is fun and full.
And I think for us, both Arlie and I grew up on a farm. We have this skill set that you can only learn on a farm. And so for our kids to be a part of that and understand like, I might have to pull on this wrench, or like I just refurbished a tractor today and my son was helping finish it off, put the finishing touches on, or whatever. Our daughter was, maybe she's gonna go into vet med and she was helping Arlie pull a lamb the other day. It's like, where else are you gonna get that experience? You know,
It's like real stuff.
You can't make that shit up.
No.
The only place to get it is here. And like, it's taken myself a very long time to take my business hat off and put my dad hat on and be like, okay, my kids are gonna get this experience. And there's not many people in this world that can walk around with the common sense and the practicality of a mixed farm, small town farm kid and carry on through life. There's all these things that as a farmer, like with your business hat on, it doesn't make sense, but as a parent, it's like,
I think scale is a real issue. I think even our small farms right now, part of the reason why they're struggling is because they're too big. They're too much work. We need more of you because it's easier to romanticize farming than it is to romanticize being the truck driver that is delivering the grain. We need the small-scale distributors. We need the small-scale bankers. We need to rebuild all of those small services that make a community function. That is the basis of our economy. The bean counters on Bay Street and the politicians in Ottawa don't have that understanding anymore. And they're trying to run this big economy on the basis of numbers.
I think at the end of the day, though, it's the end consumer that checks the box on the voting ballot. And so when we set policies, they're setting them for the end consumer, not for the people that are feeding the end consumer. And so until we convince the end consumer what's important on all of the policies, we're not going to get anywhere anytime soon.
I really don't think we're gonna fix those big farms. My feeling is the future is in farms like Farm 140, the small farms that do regenerative farming and attract customers who care about what's in their food, care about the land.
Yep.
And that's, I don't know how many of those people are out there, because when I had my farm, I was selling grass-fed lamb, but the people didn't really care if it was grass-fed or not. But I think that's where the future is going to be, is in smaller regenerative farms that probably unfortunately may have to supplement with income off the farm, and educating the public about what's in the food. And I think I would rather pay double what I pay at Costco to have food that's clean and not full of chemicals and pesticides, and the animals have been fed glyphosate. But educating the public to understand what's in their food, and that food is causing a lot of the health issues now. So I don't know how you get that education out there to the general public, because like you found out, most of them just care about the bottom line, the dollar. And but I honestly don't think we're going to fix it. I think it's going to be in smaller regenerative farms, and people need to support them, because they're not going to make it go if they're not supported.
Thanks for listening to the Hands That Feed Us on tour. My goal for the tour is to host 250 discussions in rural agricultural communities across Canada. That's one every weekday. The tour is possible because of word of mouth. My offer is this: if you have a barn or a basement anywhere in Canada, I will personally come to your community, host a screening of my documentary, The Hands That Feed Us, and facilitate a discussion. All you have to do is invite your friends and neighbors. If you know someone who might want to bring my tour to town, send them a link to this episode, or get them to sign up at thehandsthatfeedus.ca/host. There's a link in the episode description. Next week, I'm going back to a farm featured in my film, the Eschpeter Farm in Daysland, Alberta. Ken Eschpeter is retired now, which gives him all the more time to consider ways to prevent rural life in Alberta from dying out entirely. See you then, and thanks for listening.